This is a story of greed, deceit, and high drama. But it's also a story of courage, perseverance, and nuts of steel. Big nuts of steel. This story begins in the 90s, a time when kids cried because they forgot to feed their Tamagotchis.
Look, Goldie! I took good care of her.
Our dads were using pagers.
Dad, I want a pager.
Really? What's in it for me?
And boy bands were all the craze. It was in the 90s that a small camera company called Kodak, ever heard of it, came up with a crazy invention. What these guys invented was about to change the world forever. Kodak invented raw digital format for photos, and the world has never been the same again. Wait, what the hell is raw digital format, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. Think of a raw picture as a piece of raw steak. You want to have some fried beef with mashed potatoes? No problem. You want to make that delicious Ukrainian borscht maybe? No problem. You want to make a burger instead? No problem. Beef fried rice? No problem. The possibilities are endless as long as it's a raw piece of steak. JPEG, on the other hand, is like having a burger and wanting to change it into a beef masala. It's just not gonna work. So, ever since Kodak introduced the raw digital format, every camera manufacturer started to include it in their cameras too. Did you know that even the iPhone allows you to shoot raw photos now? It's wild, it's crazy. The ability to shoot raw photos has opened up so many new possibilities for editing and expression. It goes without saying that raw photos have changed the world. But how about raw video? For years have videographers watched in agony how photographers shoot raw photos and enjoy themselves, going crazy with the files. Wait a minute, why can't I shoot raw video? How's a photographer better than me? Well, the story of raw video formats as opposed to raw photo formats is truly wild. The year is 2006, a time when the cancer of the world known as Twitter was launched. The biggest song of the year is Beyonce's Irreplaceable. To the left, everything you own in a box to the left. And I was a skinny Karen sleeping on people's couches. It was in 2006 that a small camera company called Red started to make waves in the industry. You ever heard of it? This is when Red came up with a perfect solution of compressing raw video without losing quality while keeping the file sizes relatively small. Wait, how does raw video compression work, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. Imagine that this paper is a uncompressed raw video file, and then imagine that my pockets is the SD card of my camera. Now, if I want to put this paper in my pocket, well, obviously it's not gonna fit because it's too big. So then, naturally, I have two options here. Number one, get bigger pockets, but that's just gonna cost a lot of money. Number two, fold the paper in half. This is compression. Ever since Red created this proprietary Red RAW video format, they have had massive success with filmmakers and directors. Hollywood started shooting movies on Red cameras. The Amazing Spider-Man, Independence Day, Captain Marvel, Pirates of the Caribbean, Doctor Strange. You ever heard of these? Look, Red is a household name in the movie industry with many more movies, TV shows, and documentaries under their belt. But don't get it twisted, Red is not the only digital camera manufacturer that can shoot raw internal video that is being used in Hollywood. There's the Arri Alexas of the world, Sony Venice, Blackmagic, and so many more. But Red's raw files have the most usable compression to quality ratio out of all of these, and that's because of the mathematical algorithm they have patented back in 2006. And trust me, patented they did. They made sure no other camera manufacturer could use this format. Red started suing everyone, left, right, and center, who dared infringe on their patent. If you ever wondered why cameras don't shoot raw video formats internally, this is why. Red was so relentless with the lawsuits, they didn't care who it was. Wait, what? Sony wants to include Red codecs in their cameras? Sue them. What's that? Nokia wants some raw capabilities in their video as well? To the court. Wait, what's that? DJI? They want to put what? Raw video formats in their new cameras? Over my dead body. Wait, what? Apple wants raw videos in their phones? Talk to my lawyer. Yes, they actually sued Apple. And Apple lost. Now, I'm not a lawyer, But one could argue that there's nothing special or proprietary about Red's compression algorithms. In fact, both Apple and Sony had tried to make that same argument in court. Apple tried to have Red's patent disregarded because it said that the methods used were obvious and not unique, and that Red's description of compression was far too vague to form the basis of a patent. Well, it goes without saying that Red has gained a negative reputation among a lot of camera enthusiasts.
I can't wait till this patent expires. #down with Red. One thing we can do is not buy stuff from patent trolls. Patenting internal RAW recording is like patenting running water. There is nothing innovative that should be patentable here. Red, a brand that is holding back the whole industry over something they didn't invent. I love my Red Komodo, yet I absolutely hate everything Red does from a business standpoint. I hope that Red is not only stripped of their fraudulent patent, but also held accountable for the damage they have caused to others.
The drama was getting out of hand, and people's frustrations with Red started to boil over. And while all of this kept happening, there was one little camera company called Nikon. You ever heard of it? No, they were watching on the sidelines, quietly and patiently waiting for the opportunity to strike. The year is 2021, a time when cargo ships get stuck in the Suez Canal, SpaceX launches its first all-civilian spaceflight, and I look like a fat Karen sleeping on people's couches. It was in 2021 when Nikon decided to have a little board meeting and put the craziest plan in motion that will change the world.
Okay, why are we having this meeting? I heard the boss wants to talk about a new camera. I heard that too. He wants a camera with internal RAW video. That's nuts. We're gonna get sued. Yes, we will get sued. And that's exactly why we do it. We'll make a brand new camera with RAW recording and show the world who's the boss. Any objections to the plan? Our strategy is being formulated. You better believe it.
Right after this super real, totally believable meeting, they have released their new flagship camera, the Z9. It was a chunky boy, big, fat, and juicy, but very reliable. The world has gone wild for this camera, and everyone seemed to give it a very good review, but no one was ready for what was coming next. You see, a few months after the release of the camera, Nikon has pushed out a world-changing software update onto their Z9 camera. What did this update do, you may ask? RAW video capabilities, baby. And as soon as they did, guess who came out a knocking? It was on. It was for the first time a camera company has had the balls to add RAW video formats in their camera, knowing full well that they would get sued. Nikon took the fight, and the people, they found their avenger, a bright, shining beacon of light to fight against the evil darkness of the world.
Assemble.
Nikon, the hero we didn't know we needed. Hopefully Nikon will break this crap and open a world of possibilities for everyone. Thank you, Nikon, for being there for us. So if Nikon wins, then that translates that Red's patent is invalid, and that leaves all brands to implement compressed RAW like Red Code RAW. I wish Nikon wins. Yo, if Nikon actually wins this suit, y'all better put some respect on their name when it comes to video cameras.
Nikon has decided to take the fight to the end and actually prove that the patents granted to Red shouldn't have been granted in the first place. This is a little complex as it has to deal with US patent laws. I'm not qualified to talk about it. I don't even understand it. But according to the US patent law, you can't really apply for a patent if you have already revealed your product before the patent application process. And Red, according to Nikon, has done just that. Way back in 2006. So Nikon claims that Red has failed to disclose that they have already sold units, camera units, to the public before they have applied for the patent. And that's a big no-no based on the US patent laws. This is a major development because if Nikon wins, this will change the industry forever. It will introduce competition back in the game. Camera manufacturers can add RAW video capabilities in their cameras. This is good for everyone. The good news so far is that the case was dismissed. We don't know whether Red or Nikon has settled or whether Red decided to drop the lawsuit based on Nikon's discoveries, but the fact that the lawsuit has been dismissed is some freaking amazing news. Alright, so what does the story teach us? Two things. If you want to shoot RAW video internally in the camera, this is the best time to buy a Nikon camera, the Z9 or the Z8. And number two, what we learn in this beautiful story is that Nikon has nuts of steel. Big nuts of steel. Well, hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little story time. If you like this video, leave it a like, and I'll catch you in the next one.